Chinese people fleeing China are appearing across the world as the Chinese government's oppressive and authoritarian policies are repelling people from all walks of life. Welcome to China Uncensored, I'm Chris Chappell. Since starting this show 12 years ago, I've traveled to dangerous disputed waters in the South China Sea, brought anti-CCP leaders to Washington, D.C., been tear-gassed alongside millions of Hong Kong protesters, and now I want to do even more. This show has been on YouTube and Patreon for a long time, but these platforms are changing for the worse. More and more, they're censoring people like me, who tell the kind of truth the CCP doesn't want you to hear. That's why we're building a new China Uncensored premium subscription website. It'll be the Disneyland of all things China Uncensored, with new exciting content that can't be seen anywhere else. And most importantly, it's a place where we can never be censored again. It'll include exclusive new full-length episodes, plus access to an archive of all our old episodes going back more than a decade. And with this website, you'll not only get China Uncensored, but you'll also get the China Unscripted podcast, America Uncovered, and Gamers Unbeaten, all in one place with no ads. And since it'll be our own website, it won't be subject to censorship the way YouTube and Patreon are. In fact, once we launch, we're going to stop promoting Patreon and other donation sites. We'll consolidate everything onto our new China Uncensored premium site. And with just one monthly subscription, you'll get everything you need to have the ultimate blockbuster China Uncensored experience. We'll still continue to put some of our episodes on YouTube, but not all of them. Subscriptions to our new premium website will allow us to fund the creation of in-depth stories for those of you who are already in the know and still want to learn more. I'm talking bigger episodes with long-term research, expert analysis, and on-the-ground reporting. And we'll do special live streams just for our paying subscribers, where you'll get to talk to me, Matt, and Shelley directly. And we'll create a members-only community of fans, so you can chat with each other as well. And if enough people join, we'll even build you a custom app for your iPhone and Android. But to create this website, we need your support. We have a tech team lined up and ready to build it, but first we'll need to raise at least $32,680. We've set up a special Give, Send, Go page for this. I know this may not be for everybody, but if you're one of our true core fans and you want to join us in building the ultimate China Uncensored experience, I'm asking you to contribute. You can give any amount, and if that amount is $15 or more, we'll consider you an official counter-revolutionary and send you a discount code covering your first month's subscription for free. If you contribute $50 or more, we'll give you that, plus emblazon your name as a hostile foreign force on a special page on our website. And for anyone who contributes $200 or more, we'll also email you a custom-designed electronic plaque with your name on it for being a capitalist running dog. And if you contribute $1,000 or more, you'll become official, disgraceful anti-China garbage, just like China Uncensored. You'll receive everything I just mentioned, plus a personal thank you phone call from me. And you'll get your name in a special coveted position at the top of the webpage for all to see, unless you want to stay anonymous, of course. So click the Give, Send, Go link below and help us build the new censorship-free China Uncensored Disneyland. And now, on with today's episode. Have you ever wanted to travel abroad but felt unsure about which vacation experience to go for? Like, should you go for a music event, escape into the natural environment of a foreign land, or just chill on the beach somewhere with a drink in hand? Luckily, your days of settling for only one option are over, because there's one place that offers all of these things: modern China. And the longer you learn about how the country operates, the more drinks you'll need. According to Chinese state-run media, you can now chill with the Russians on the tropical beaches of the country's Hainan Island. You can hike with a local companion in the mountains of China's central Henan province. You can get free room and board for life by speaking out against the CCP. That's not actually advertised, just a free travel hack for you. And China's concert scene is booming. Just last month, you could experience iasă performing live in the south of the country, because what the rest of the world calls problematic, China calls quaint. These headlines are all part of a larger campaign meant to attract foreign tourists to China in the hopes that it will boost the tourism industry, which still hasn't recovered from the COVID years. Steps taken have also included opening up visa-free travel for a select list of countries, as well as drawing on foreign influencers to tell the real story about China. Wait, that's what I've been doing for over a decade now. Does this mean the CCP is a fan of China Uncensored? I'm undeniable, baby. But while the Chinese authorities are desperate to attract foreign tourists to China, Chinese people are desperate to get as far away from China as they can in what has become a broad-based exodus that has been termed run philosophy, or run shui in Chinese. Because in China, running isn't an exercise, it's a philosophy. Run philosophy took off during the COVID years, when the government's long and strict lockdowns made life unbearable for many Chinese people. In 2022, a post explaining the phenomenon was quickly read more than 9 million times before it was censored into oblivion. That same year, the keyword migration appeared in 33 million searches on Chinese social media, compared to 7 million searches in 2021. The situation was so dire that when the people of China were deciding where to go on an extended vacation, they just searched Priceline for literally anywhere. Just get me the heck out of here. Even though it's been almost 2 years now since the COVID lockdowns ended, Chinese people haven't stopped running away. Last year, there were almost 140,000 asylum seekers from China, according to the UN. And desperate Chinese are found in a lot of different places, like, for example, the US southern border. In the 6 months leading up to April of this year, more than 24,000 Chinese nationals were apprehended by the US border police at the border with Mexico. They flew to Latin America to sneak into the US? Man, those Priceline itineraries are the worst. That's more than the number of Chinese people who were apprehended at the border in the whole of the previous financial year. And it's getting worse. In March of this year alone, the number of times that the US border police encountered Chinese nationals increased by 8,500% compared with March 2021. Kind of hard to sell China as a great tourist spot when Chinese locals would rather leave to join a migrant caravan. And then there's the eastern border of the European Union. In the first 8 months of this year, new asylum applications from Chinese nationals in Germany more than double compared to the total number for 2022. And in the Netherlands, 409 Chinese people applied for asylum last year compared to 151 the year before. So who are all these shady Chinese people fleeing their dark pasts back in China? One of them is 39-year-old Zhang. Zhang and his 2 young children took a journey through 4 different countries to arrive in Bosnia in April, where they have tried for nearly 6 months to enter the EU. So why was Zhang willing to undergo such a journey with his children? Zhang's troubles back in China started in 2012, when massive anti-Japanese protests rocked urban Chinese areas following the flare-up of a dispute over a group of islands in the East China Sea. During the upheaval, Zhang publicly questioned the official narrative that the islands were an undisputed part of Chinese territory. Zhang was arrested and accused of inciting the subversion of state power. Because forget guns and knives, there's nothing more dangerous to the CCP than questions. They'd probably be absolutely terrified of the Riddler. Fast forward 10 years to 2022, and popular protests spread across several Chinese cities over the ongoing draconian zero-COVID policy, with all sorts of people calling for the government to step down. Zhang was one of them. Wow, I guess he was looking for room and board. But when several of his friends that participated in the protests disappeared, it convinced him that he had to leave. Another person who recently left China is labor organizer Jian Hui. He went to prison in China for fighting for workers' rights and decided to leave after he was released, which was probably a good idea. He was among the thousands of Chinese migrants that flew to South America and from there crossed the infamous Darien Gap, a 60 to 70 mile stretch of mountainous jungle that marks the border between Colombia and Panama. In the harsh jungle environment, disease, injury, and infections are common. Gangs and criminals also operate in the jungle, and they're often ready to threaten and rob migrants. But compared to living under the CCP, this was just an exotic getaway. More than 60 migrants died attempting to cross the gap in the first half of 2023 alone. For Jianhui, after making it across the gap alive, he traveled the remaining 2,500 miles to the US border. When he hears that Proclaimers song where the guy says he'd walk 500 miles, Jianhui just thinks, amateur. But it's not just those that have faced political persecution back in China that are setting off for a fresh start abroad. China's wealthy are also leaving, with the country experiencing the world's biggest exodus of millionaires last year and expected to set a new record this year. Many of these Chinese millionaires are heading for Singapore. At the same time, many Chinese women have packed up and left in recent years as well, with many of them starting new lives in the cities of Australia. They're going down under for fear of staying in China and winding up down under. Other Chinese people have moved to Tokyo, where they have found that the place to find traditional Chinese culture preserved in a systematic and complete way is actually in Japan, according to some of the recent immigrants themselves. That's because for decades, the Chinese Communist Party has actively sought to destroy traditional Chinese culture. And young Chinese have made their way to Thailand, where some have settled for a more mellow and easygoing life in the country's rural areas. And this exodus of people from all walks of life comes at a very bad time for Xi Jinping. The country has begun a hard-to-reverse population decline, and the Chinese economy continues to show new signs of weakness. With such a dismal outlook, I don't think anyone would blame Xi if he took a break. Maybe even went on a vacation. I personally think an escape into the natural environment of a foreign land would do him good. And I hear that for Chinese leaders, the mountainous jungles of the Darien Gap are lovely this time of year. Before you go, don't forget to check out my Give, Send, Go fundraiser campaign. The link is below. And hey, have you ever wondered why Japan is so much cooler than China? That's something I talk about in the latest episode for my new gaming channel. Click here to check it out. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.